The merger party was held in a glass-walled ballroom overlooking the city, all lights and champagne and forced smiles. My brother stood at the center of it all, soaking in praise, as if he had personally built the company from nothing. Our parents hovered close, proud and loud, making sure everyone knew whose success this night belonged to. I hadn't planned to attend. I knew exactly how these events usually went. The jokes disguised as compliments, the sideways glances, the way my presence was tolerated, never welcomed. But I went anyway, not to celebrate, to observe. From the moment I walked in, I felt it. The pause, the quick looks exchanged between relatives and executives who had only heard my name as a footnote. Someone whispered that I must be unemployed. Someone else laughed too loudly when my brother made a joke about how I finally showed up to something important. Hey, if you enjoy my content, please subscribe and hit the bell. Your support means everything and helps me keep creating. Thank you so much. I smiled. Quietly. I didn't correct anyone. I didn't defend myself. I let the assumptions settle like dust. At our table, the mockery became sharper. My parents compared my brother's achievements to my wandering phase. They raised a toast to ambition, discipline, real leadership. Every word was carefully aimed, every sentence ending with a glance in my direction. I nodded along, cutting my food slowly, listening more than I spoke. What none of them noticed was how often people approached me separately, how a few executives greeted me with restrained curiosity, how one of the lawyers paused mid-sentence when he saw my name on the seating card and looked at me twice. I wasn't there by accident. As speeches began, my brother took the microphone, confident, rehearsed. He talked about growth, vision, teamwork. He thanked our parents. He thanked the board. He even thanked family support, gesturing vaguely in my direction, as if tossing me a crumb. Laughter rippled across the room. I felt no anger, just clarity, because while they were busy celebrating a title, I was watching timelines converge. The documents had already been signed, the contingency clauses already triggered. The quiet role I had played for years was about to surface, whether they were ready or not. I checked my phone once. A single message waited for me. 2 words. Proceed now. I slipped the phone back into my pocket and leaned into my chair, letting the laughter wash over me, letting them believe the story they had always told themselves. They had no idea this party wasn't the peak of the night. It was the setup. The laughter faded into background noise as servers cleared plates and refilled glasses. The room settled into that familiar post-speech buzz, people standing, networking, congratulating themselves. My brother moved from group to group, shaking hands, basking in the attention. Our parents followed like proud managers, repeating the same story to anyone who would listen. I stayed seated a little longer, watching patterns. Who spoke to whom? Who avoided eye contact? Who kept glancing at their phone? The people who mattered weren't loud. They were quiet, focused, waiting. One of the senior partners from the acquiring firm approached my table and nodded politely. No smile, no small talk, just a measured look that said everything was on schedule. He didn't stay long. He didn't need to. That single acknowledgement was enough to confirm what I already knew. Across the room, my brother's confidence grew. He started telling bigger stories now about future expansion, about leadership roles, about how this merger proved he was indispensable. Our parents laughed at every word, reinforcing the myth they had built around him for years. What none of them noticed was the shift in tone among the executives. Conversations grew shorter. People checked their watches. Phones buzzed more often. The legal team gathered near the back of the room, whispering in tight circles. I finally stood up, not dramatically, just enough to stretch my legs. As I moved toward the bar, I overheard a fragment of conversation, someone asking whether the final authority had arrived yet. Another voice replied, "They're already here." I took my drink and leaned against a pillar, calm, invisible, exactly where I needed to be. My phone buzzed again. A confirmation. The last internal approval had gone through. The clause no one had paid attention to, the one buried deep in the merger agreement, was now active. Years ago, when my brother had dismissed my boring back-end work, and our parents had laughed about me hiding behind spreadsheets, I had accepted the role without argument. I had built the structures, designed the safeguards, negotiated the terms no one else wanted to read. And tonight, those quiet details mattered more than speeches ever could. The room shifted again when one of the board members cleared his throat and asked for attention. Glasses lowered. Conversations stopped. My brother looked surprised but pleased, assuming another round of praise was coming. Instead, the board member announced that before the evening concluded, there was a formal clarification to be made regarding post-merger authority and ownership oversight. He invited the legal counsel to the front. The smile on my brother's face tightened. Our parents exchanged confused looks. This hadn't been on the agenda. They were handed. The lawyer spoke carefully, choosing every word with precision. He explained that due to the structure of the merger, operational control would not rest solely with the public-facing executive role. There was an oversight entity, one with veto power over major decisions, asset movement, and leadership appointments. Murmurs spread across the room. My brother laughed awkwardly, assuming this was a technicality. Our parents leaned forward, trying to follow along. Then the lawyer paused and said the name of the entity. A name I had chosen years ago, a name that meant nothing to my family, but everything to the people who understood how power actually worked. Heads turned. Executives scanned the room. Someone asked where the representative was. I set my glass down and stepped forward. The silence that followed wasn't shock yet. It was confusion. Recognition flickered across a few faces. Then realization. My brother stared at me, trying to process what he was seeing. Our parents froze, smiles half-formed, waiting for someone else to speak. The lawyer nodded in my direction and calmly stated that I was not just a representative. I was the controlling authority, the final sign-off, the safeguard they had all agreed to trust. The laughter from earlier felt distant now, thin, fragile. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't explain myself. I didn't need to. The documents spoke for me. The structure spoke for me. Years of being underestimated had built something none of them could laugh at now. The party hadn't ended yet, but the story they believed in was already falling apart. The room stayed, silent longer than anyone expected. My brother's face drained of color as the weight of the words finally sank in. Our parents looked between us, searching for a joke that never came. No one laughed this time. Executives began to nod, not at him, but at me. Conversations restarted in hushed tones, careful now, respectful. My brother tried to speak, but the confidence he had worn all night was gone. He wasn't being mocked. He was being measured and found lacking. I didn't say much. I didn't need to. Power doesn't announce itself twice. I thanked the board, confirmed the next steps, and excused myself. As I walked out, I caught my parents staring, realization finally replacing disbelief. They had raised a toast to the wrong future. And for the first time, they understood exactly who had been building it all along.